Thank you. I'll now recognize myself for 5 minutes. Ms. Howard, the White House on April 15th, 2009 sent a directive out. It says from Gregory Craig, counsel to the president, says, quote, "This is a reminder that executive agencies shall consult the White House counsel's office on all document requests that may involve documents with White House equities." He goes on and says, "This need to consult with the White House arises with respect to all types of document requests, including congressional committee requests, GAO requests, judicial subpoenas, and FOIA requests." So my question to you, Ms. Howard, what percentage, when Congress sends you a request for information, what percentage of that do you share with the White House?
To the extent that I've been involved in responses to Congress or responses to FOIA, we have never shared information with the White House. I became aware of this memo when we were asked for some information to actually demonstrate how many times we'd had this interaction. It was a FOIA request. I was curious as to why we were getting a FOIA request since we don't have interaction with the White House on FOIAs.
So you've never sent anything to the White House?
I can't speak for the entire IRS. I mean, that would be a question for Chief Counsel or the Commissioner. I can simply speak for the Disclosure Office and the FOIA process. We do not interact with the White House.
So if you get a subpoena from the United States Congress, you get a subpoena from me and the Oversight Committee, you don't share that with the White House?
The fact that it exists? Yeah, we may share the information that we got the subpoena, or we may share the fact that we're working on a subpoena, but the actual documents that would be produced for the subpoena, we would produce those documents and redact them for 6103. Again, that might involve Chief Counsel.
What percentage of those do you share with the White House?
What percentage do I share with the White House would be 0.
Within the IRS, you do not share those, to the best of your knowledge.
To the best of my knowledge, the Disclosure Office does not consult the White House.
The White House told you you're supposed to do it. The White House directed you to do that. Are you telling us that you didn't comply with the White House request?
Well, you know, kind of towards the end of my career, so I'll be real honest with you. I saw this memo. I was amazed to see the memo. It's written to agency counsel, which is not me. I looked through the procedures that we have in our Internal Revenue Manual, which are basically how we run our operations for FOIA, and I never saw this. I never saw any evidence that this was incorporated, and I ignored it.
When you respond to a letter from Congress, or there's a response to a subpoena from Congress, who sees that before we get it?
In most instances, counsel would look at something like that, the chief of staff or the commissioner, but again, that's really a question for the commissioner in terms of what that process looks like.
Lois Lerner, request for documents from Lois Lerner. Who saw those documents? Who did you have to get clearance from before we get those documents? Because we still don't have them all.
The 6103 redactions, as I said in my testimony, were done by Chief Counsel, the Office of Chief Counsel. We may have redacted some of those documents for, well, you don't get the FOIA
I'm asking what signatures do you need to see on there before you send it back to us?
I'm not certain because I'm not the one doing the sending. That would be.
But you're the director of this, and you've heard of Lois Lerner, I would hope by now.
Heard of Lois Lerner, yeah.
Yeah, so who do you have to check off with before we get those documents?
Again, sir, with all due respect, that was not a process that I was personally involved in, nor was my disclosure
You had to guess
operation.
that maybe we would ask about Lois Lerner.
If I had to, which is why the commissioner thought that perhaps he might be the best to answer your question.
But you're the director. It's your job and role and responsibility.
No, sir, my job is the FOIA program.
Your title, correct? Director, Privacy, Governmental Liaison, and Disclosure.
Right.
That's your title.
That is my title.
And you're telling me you're not responsible for the governmental liaison and disclosure part of that?
Not in the context that you're asking.
Why? Because it's Lois Lerner?
No, I think because it was an unprecedented, voluminous.
Wait, what was unprecedented about asking for information about Lois Lerner? What's unprecedented about that?
I think that Lois Lerner was the tip of the iceberg. I think that request included far more than just one person.
So what makes you think it's the tip of the iceberg?
In terms of the way the request was structured.
what was so striking about it? It's pretty simple. I mean, in this electronic age, we're asking for all of our emails in a certain time frame. How hard is that? I mean, that should take about 10 seconds, right? What's so hard about producing those documents? Why does it take so long?
Again,
It's taken years.
I cannot talk to the specific documents about Lois Lerner, but what I
Okay,
can
so
give
when
you
the
is some
request
insight into how we.
when the request came, both in a letter and then in a subpoena, who does that go to?
The commissioner.
It doesn't go to you?
No, not first.
What? But when we send these documents over, this doesn't land on your desk?
It does not land on my desk.
Does it land at any of your staff's desk?
No, it landed on the desk of the commissioner and the chief counsel.
So they are solely responsible for the fulfillment of the request and for the subpoenas, correct? I mean, if it doesn't go to you, you're the director of privacy, government liaison, and disclosure. And you're telling me that your department, your group doesn't get that because it came from Congress, right?
No, because we made a business decision that because of the scope of that request, we would set up a special project team. And that special project
Who decided
team,
that? I want some names here. Mr. Koskinen?
I think it was before his time, so I would guess the acting commissioner. It was
Right.
before my time too, so it's whatever I tell you is just hearsay. But it was my understanding that the
Well,
commissioner.
we expect a little bit more than I mean.
Again, it was not directed towards my.
So it doesn't come through your office, your department, your group, whatever you want to call it.
We might be involved in it, but so are the IT people.
Was the Lois Lerner case dealt with differently than anything else? You said it was unprecedented. I want to know why.
Well, I think because there was a lot of other 501 or 504c3. There was a C4 documents that were requested at the same time.
So anything that we had to deal with those documents, the C4 documents, went a different direction than normally.
It went into a sort of a project team where we felt that
So there's a special project team that's set up?
There was at the time, and I believe it's still functioning.
Why was there a special team set up?
Because of the volume of the.
It didn't have anything to do with volume. It had to do with the topic, didn't it?
I don't believe so, no. I think it was a business reason of how we would best use our resources. In actuality, looking back on it from my perspective, it was a very positive thing for the disclosure office because we could do all of our regular FOIA work except for those particular topics.
So, I mean, what you're telling me is anything that came in on this topic, C4, not just Lois Lerner, but C4, went in a different route. It went to the commissioner and it went to the general counsel. There's only two political appointees in all of the IRS, the commissioner and the general counsel. Those are the only two out of 90,000. And you're telling me that those requests went a different route than normally anything else does, and it went to them, correct? That's exactly what you told me.
I don't want to go on record as saying that I know specifically where requests went to. My understanding is that requests from Congress are given a certain level of respect and concern so that they go to the commissioner's office first and are parceled out as to who's going to work them after that.
Do you know who the lead of that special team, that special project team was?
I do not.
All right, my time's expired.